Well, Happy New Year. We got our Starbucks 2-hour work session done. Now I'm just going to take a little break. I did a lot of A/B testing and documenting what I'm seeing, and I'm trying to do that every day. So I'm separating reselling from developing. But my worst return of 2025 continues. I've done everything I was supposed to. When the item was returned in separate boxes where I end up paying for every shipping label, I try to return. I try to refund the customer with a partial refund because they taped them closed, my electric tubes. I only followed the directions on the air. It says try back again later, and failed all my messages. It just showed I failed at least 10 to 15 different times trying. I always try not to call eBay. It's just been not the easiest experience of my life. So I followed these directions, and then I opened up a ticket, Seller Hub, let them know there was a technical issue. Then I went to the message board and did the same. And I was getting closer to the timeline where I had to refund, so I called eBay for the first time. This operator was helpful. For me to process a partial refund, I had to send a message to the buyer, so he had time to respond, and they told me to call back in 24 hours and they'll process the partial refund for me, which I did. But the second operator forwarded me to somebody maybe in the same office because you can hear the people laughing in the background, and they weren't very helpful. They said since I wasn't able to process a partial refund, and I just didn't understand that. One operator explaining one way and the next operator sounded like the same room that they were working out of. Couldn't help me, and so I just threw my hands up saying, well, let's just not do the partial refund, let's just get this done. And she processed that. So I'm not happy. I was very disappointed, so I got off the phone pretty much as quickly as possible, since it just seemed like it wasn't a fair situation. I lose money because of a technical issue of refunding a customer, and it just didn't set good with me. I opened my Seller Hub, and I see now there's 3 disputes being I didn't close the cases. I didn't pay the refund, so now they're under review. Well, she just said she closed them. So now I called back the 3rd time. He understood the whole process. He looked in my messages, saw the attempts. He saw that I had called. He says, all right, it's going to take 24 to 48 hours, which I waited. But the whole purpose of me calling all these times were not to receive a defect on my account. So I get a message from somebody in support saying that they'll be looking at this. It pretty much copy-pasted a normal message they send. Had nothing accurate within the message to me about the facts. Technical issue, a glitch in returning, sending a refund. I then woke up an hour before New Year's Eve and see that my account now has 3 defects on it, and I'm underperforming. I messaged those people back and letting them know the first time the details of what was happening, and then the second time is now we need to remove the defects, and I expect to now have to call it the 4th time. But I'm gonna let the 48 hours run out. Hopefully something happens where they actually read the email that I send. If I don't have to call back the 4th time, I'm not sure if you ever tried to call eBay through the AI assistant chat. There's pretty much no way to get a hold of them. It takes, well, you have to beg for a call. It's pretty horrible experience. So gonna let this 48-hour run through. I haven't had any orders. I read that running under performance takes your visibility away, so which is orders and sales. So I'm being punished again, even though I've been proactive trying not to have this happen to me. So this goes down as the worst return in my life on eBay. I've been selling on and off for 5 years, since 1999, my first account, which I still have. This goes down by far the worst experience I've ever had. Inconsistent in between people. I actually feel like when a support person is lying to you, saying that they are the department, and it sounds like they're still laughing in the background. Like, are they laughing at me? So yeah, what a great New Year day. I now have no orders as today. I got 3 defects on my account. I've had to pay 3 shipping labels. I might not even get the 50% reduction. So yeah, I'm real motivated right now. So yeah, that's how my New Year's day and eve and the days before, all I wanted to do was a refund and close the case like I do 100% of the times. I've never had a defect. I've closed everything. Even when I lose money, I close the case and pay the customer. And now, out of the blue, because I can't return, I can't send the money, I get a defect. Even explaining those situations to the operators, I don't want a defect. What happens? I get a defect. So yeah, eBay's not easy. I have to separate my emotions because I had a lot of highs and lows in this whole process. I did really well, then I go high, and then I get upset, and I'm passionate. I had to keep on asking, how would Jesus handle this? eBay, I had to ask Jesus how to act. My experience, I had to go within. Why are we experiencing this stuff? I've done nothing but everything 100% effort, and I feel like I'm getting very short end of the stick. So this is my worst refund experience. I'd imagine you all have had your bad experiences. I've had similar ones, but nothing like this, where it just continued to extend and they couldn't handle it. They couldn't even refund it because it was airing out. Okay, so I'm gonna take 30 minutes. It's beautiful. I'm gonna maybe do a little walk. I really wanted to have a fresh start in 2026. And I was only focusing on listing, not repairing a broken account. This is now 2.5 years of technical issues, on top of 5 years inflation in reselling. Post office, eBay, promoted fees. Everything is just piling up on top of one thing after another. So I'm going to be diversifying. I've already rolled back my promotions. I'm going to be doing more flea markets, in-person sales. I'm going to, expect, like I said, I expect less orders. That means, I'm not going to message people back immediately. If I'm not going to get treated right, or people aren't going to be treated right as a seller or a buyer, how, it's just going to be a part-time job. So I'm happy that 2025 is over, and I need to have I need to ask Jesus, what can I do better in 2025? How can I act differently? How can I be a better person? I'm going to church twice a week. I'm learning more about Jesus Christ, and that's been the best thing in 2025. Thank you for watching, guys. You have a great day.